to see nothing. And they said open the window to the front garden, and it was a fair point because it was punishingly hot. So I did open the front window a little bit, and I then spent another hour entirely on edge, attempting to persuade my cat not to force it all the way open and escape. So it's been quite a busy evening. Right, so what have I got for you this evening? We're going to start with, well, I'm going to call this a fun story. Okay, we're going to start with a fun story. And let's be honest, in true crime, there really aren't many fun stories. But this is just a story. It's basically mass hysteria, but not in the worst way. We're going to be discussing the 2016 clown panic. Llamas? Yes. No, we're not doing llamas yet, sadly. Although there is a llama balloon in my lounge. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to explain. So, should I give everyone's well and surviving the heat? Or Thelonious says, where she is, it's heaters are essential. What you've done there, Thelonious, is you've made a lot of people in chat very jealous. You may be like, I could do with some heat. We're all sat there thinking, can we just have the sun off for like the next week? We must be able to do that now, right? We've got technology. Just fly a giant sunshade over Britain. I'm sure in 50s sci-fi somebody did that. You're jealous of us with the heat, yeah. Yeah, it is this humidity that's a pain. Right, anyway, I don't know why I'm waffling, because the whole point is it's really hot. I don't want to decay on chat, and I'm going to do this while I'm fresh and keen, so we'll get into it. So, it's not illegal to dress up like a clown and lurk somewhere, because you're not really doing any harm. And during the 2000s, in various places around the world, people found this a very useful tool for promoting their stuff, movies and such like. Surely that depends on where you are. Well, it might now, but a while back clowns weren't really illegal. Certainly not in any of the areas we're going to discuss. But in 2016, people posing around as clowns exploded into a mass clown panic, which saw sightings and fear in almost every US state and 19 other countries. Oh yes, okay. Steve's just reminded me to do the good promotional business bit. I am on 99 followers, which is already phenomenal for a stream that's been going this long. On this briefly, I should say, and I'm certainly on a subject that you don't really get much on Twitch. So if anybody is keen and likes this show and isn't following, a follow to take me to 100 would be appreciated at any point. Oh, Ditchwood says the Somerset Gimp as a second story. Do you know that would have been a good follow-up? I've actually got a more traditional true crime story. I should have considered that. We'll do that another time. Anyway, so obviously you know me. I like a bit of build-up and history and context. So in America, there had been. We're going to focus on America to start with, and then we're going to get global. So you need to run this stuff by you. Yes, I do. You and Polly should be having a look at it. To be fair, Polly is currently passed out. So what can you do? So there have been campaigns of clown scares before. The 2016 clown scare was not, in that sense, a unique event. So, such as has she attacked the fan? No, Polly's been very good. Polly has tried to work out how she can lay in front of the fan, and hasn't really found a spot, because of the way I've positioned it, that sounds cruel. I did not mean I've taken the fan from the cat. I've positioned the fan for optimum Roberts cooling. And it just so happens there's not really a poly shelf. Yes, I had two. Do I need to get you a second one? for poly, yeah. I don't know what she'd do. Probably be very happy of it, actually. So in 1981 in Massachusetts, there was a clown. Oh, thank you, Dano. Dano has roared in with my 100th follow. Thank you very much. That brings me to the 100 club. That is a great start. I'm really pleased about that. Thank you, Dana. Your cats are terrified of a fat. Now that's interesting. I suppose they're all different. Well, I mean, it's not a big fat. I mean, Thelonious, I don't know what you're imagining. I've just realised I hadn't put the light on. I haven't put my key light on because it's very warm and I was saving it. So just give me a second. I was technically saying that. Right, that's better. Sorry about that. Now I'll just fry. Oh, thanks, Diz. Oh, Dr. Rock, 1966 has followed me. Awesome. Thank you very much. We're on a roll. Aww. Polly, I would class as cunning. Anyway, so in 1981 in Massachusetts, children reported clowns trying to get them into a van. This triggered what was dubbed the Phantom Clown Panic. There were clown panics in Chicago in 91, in 2008, in Wisconsin in 2000. None of these were on the scale of 2016. Polly is also very bribeable. She is. Oh, your bunnies love it. I bet they do. Bunnies can be as vicious as cats. My brother's got bunnies. They bite everything. In Northampton in the UK in 2013, there was we have done it. Yes, we have, Steve. We've smashed 100 followers. So Northampton in the UK in 2013 is interesting because this is a massive microcosm of everything that happens in 2016. So we're going to give it a bit of focus. So essentially, 3 local. Oh, hello, Foxy. Welcome in, Foxy. Foxy is a brilliant gaming and variety streamer. They've just been playing Hogwarts Legacy, which they're enjoying immensely. I'm enjoying watching it. They were last spotted riding a hippogriff through the skies. Take that, people that's just got broomsticks. Did you see Harry Potter on a hippogriff? I mean, maybe you did. I'm not really up on the law, if I'm being honest. We're gonna pause and talk about Hogwarts Legacy, right? Because Hogwarts Legacy, they've got some of the Harry Potter license, so they've had to set it 100 years before, and they can use Hogwarts, but they can't use the actual Harry Potter characters. And they've not been able to get the rights to Quidditch because another game has got the rights to Quidditch. So they keep making references to, isn't it terrible? But they've banned Quidditch for a year. Oh yeah. But anyway, Foxy did this bit. She did this bit, and she's given a quiz by one of the students, and loads of the questions were on the rules of Quidditch. And I just thought, how unfair is that? We can't play it. Why? We don't need to know it. Stop mentioning Quidditch until you've paid for the license. Update on Quidditch. Oh, go on, Foxy. Have they managed to get the Quidditch DLC license yet? Is that coming? Just wait to see what Foxy says, and then we'll get back to Northampton. Yeah. You see, that's the thing. Quidditch isn't in Harry Potter Legacy because Harry Potter Quidditch have the license, and they've had to really awkwardly work round it. Although, to be fair, as Foxy flies a massive bird with tooth and claws, she'd probably win by killing all the team. Anyway, so the Northampton clown panic is basically everything we're going to see on a very small scale. So some filmmakers thought, wouldn't it be a great idea to promote our film by creating a clown that just lurks around and spooks people, and will get people talking on social media. So they made a Facebook page, and they started dressing like a clown and lurking. And it was hugely successful in one sense, because it wasn't just Nottingham that started looking at this clown story. It became a top news story across Europe. There were people in Italy who wanted to know, have we seen more clowns in Northampton? On the other hand, the locals were terrified, and a vigilante group tried to kill the clown. The chief clown, Alex Powell, later revealed himself, because obviously they were promoting, and he told The Wire the heights and lows of a month spent running around in a clown costume. He said, so this is the good side, right? This is the good side. I went to meet a little girl who only has 6 months to live. Her mum messaged me saying she really wants to meet you before I die. I took a picture with her and gave her a clown. And that's nice. That's nice, right? On the other hand, he says on Facebook, I've had over 1,000 death threats. One guy had a knife and told me he would stab me if there weren't so many people around. So, swings and roundabouts. And I put that in to illustrate the fact that this isn't just a few. This is essentially a load of people who think they're having a laugh and winding people up. People did get very scared and violent, and this is what we're going to come on to. Ditchborough says we've got 600 or so clowns in the Houses of Parliament. We won't get into any further political things live, but Italy had a clown. Well, Italy didn't really have a clown panic in the sense of other countries. What they had was the YouTuber DM Pranks. He began dressing up as a clown. However, he didn't just lurk, he would chase people with weapons. The videos racked up millions of views. I was going to get a screenshot from one, but YouTube's deleted them. He wasn't pretending to be anything other than a content creator. But here's the quote, right? So this guy, he'd dress up as a clown and he'd chase people with like a chainsaw. And he told the BBC, I think that a good jog, even if you're running away from a clown, never killed anybody. Which is, of course, completely wrong, because loads of people die jogging. So, Red Dead Online has a clown movement in protest at Rockstar abandoning updating it. That's amazing. That is great, isn't it? In the same year, the not entirely as fun as these two, Wasco Clown terrified people in California. But it wasn't just one clown. So there were a few sightings of a clown. And it caused enough panic for people to create social media accounts to look for the clown. Then other clowns thought it would be fun to run out dressed as clowns. And then a load of people thought it would be fun to arm themselves and hunt the clowns. It turned into a complete local panic. As Sergeant Joe Grubbs at Bakersfield Police said, clearly if someone is dressed up as a clown and holding a weapon in a threatening manner, that's going to frighten people. Yes, people had taken the let's just stand there as a creepy clown meme and gone full on 3 a.m. on the horror channel on it all. A clown was repeatedly spotted in Staten Island, and in locals near a cemetery in Chicago in the middle of 2015 spotted someone dressed as a clown climbing over the fence to get inside. Realising he was spotted, he waved. It was never, ever explained. Ditch says there are probably few things more terrifying than waking up in the night and finding someone dressed as a clown in your house. Yes, because not only do you have an intruder whose intentions you don't really know, you've also got a complete lunatic dressed as a clown. It's an instant, this is not good. Right, so that's all the precursor to 2016, when this really kicked off. Just make sure I'm not actually ignoring. Just do a quick mental sweep to make sure this is going smoothly. Cool. Right, so as you've probably guessed from the way I called Northampton a microcosm, it was actually filmmakers who triggered the 2016 international panic. In August 2016, photos of a clown creeping about an empty parking zone went viral. Hey, guess what, guys? That's the photo! Can you imagine, right, if you're in a parking lot, and when I say creepy clowns, I mean this guy's got a black clown outfit and black balloons and black and white makeup and was just wandering about like that. Yeah. Yeah, Tish says I'm noping the hell out of there. Yeah. Now this guy here was purely a promotional vehicle by a filmmaker for their movie Gags. They put a Facebook page for Gags sighting, and national news began reported on the Green Bay scare. Leslie says if you choose to dress as a clown and behave oddly, let alone run around with weapons, you must be aware that a lot of people are scared of clowns. Yeah, although to be fair, Leslie, I don't care what you're dressed at. If you're running around with a weapon, I'm scared of you. I mean, you could be dressed as a panda, but if that panda has a baseball bat, it's too much. But shout out, actually, Leslie, it's a good point. Shout out to Captain Gary Wirrick of the Green Bay Police, who exhibited a supernatural level of calm, telling the press, at the end of the day, it's just a person walking around in a clown costume. The filmmaker came clean, and that should have been it. No, because they'd triggered something. They'd started something. It kicked off. Ditch says a clown with a bat is scarier than a panda with a bat. Well, this is true. This is true. But they're still, they're still further to the bad than a panda on its own. The problems then started. In North and South Carolina, reports started coming in and appearing on the news of people dressed as clowns either harassing children or standing eerily still. So in Greenville County, a clown tried to pay children to accompany him into a wood. Yes. 180 miles away in Winston-Salem, somebody tried to use sweets to get children into a wood. Now you may be thinking, what did the locals think of that? Well, there was a sighting of a man chasing a clown into the woods. The man had a machete. And for some reason, despite the fact that people were now attempting to kill the big nonce clown sightings multiplied. They spread across America. Nearly every state had at least a clown sighting. They spread into Canada, the UK, Australia, and beyond. They became an international clown panic. It would have been a very different story if it was a panda. I'd like to see it. Maybe back to Big Rob for all those who don't like the... Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's enough of that clown. Remind me, I've got another clown story coming up, clown photo coming up, and then we'll let leave. So in one single BBC News report, referring to one single week, they were able to start by saying Thames Valley Police had attended 14 clown incidents. 4 children had been followed by a clown that had a knife, and a man had been arrested for chasing a woman in a park, dressed as a clown. Another Guardian report of much the same time frame listed a clown leaping out at children as they left school, a clown who tried to drag a man off a street, and a clown hit by a car. Yep, people were fighting back. In Reading, Ohio, the schools had to be closed after a sighting. While Flomerton High School went under red alert when the Flomo Clown suddenly changed his name to the Shooter Clown. Yeah, that'll do it. Now, we'll just finish this paragraph and we'll do it. The Shooter Clown was found and charged with terrorism. Child support lines were deluged with children terrified in their sleep and day lives by clowns. Ditch says, you missed a trick. You should have done this show in clown makeup, but not acknowledged it. I genuinely considered that. That very nearly happened. I very nearly did do this in clown makeup. So I will, if you're in chat and you're into hijinks like that, now would be a good time to let me know for future schemes. I really did think about that, but I'm glad I didn't, because it would be running off me in the heat, wouldn't it? I'll just be here and I'll just be dripping. I look like I've been. I look like a candle that's been. That would be hilarious. Right then, we will be. We will be considering this for future tie-ins. Not the llama stream. I'm not dressing up as a llama. I don't know how I do that, but yes. Thanks, Steve. Big shout out to Tom Hansen Live. Tom Hansen is an excellent drummer. He's my favourite Twitch drummer. He's a brilliant guy. He does a great show, and he's just back doing them. I believe. Are you still Wednesday, Friday, Saturday evenings, Tom? Or, I don't know what the schedule is at the moment. I know you were on last night. I'm not sure. If you could confirm, I'll shout that out. We need a different poll. Should he have been wearing clown makeup for this show? Yeah. I'll have a think. Oh, it's going to yes. Yes is win. Oh God, yes is winning. Should G-Man pause the stream? I didn't buy it, so I very nearly, but I got to the point where I was going to buy it, and I didn't buy it. So thanks. I don't have it. All I've got is my scary stream intro mask. For those who weren't here for the spooky stream, oops, I'm sorry, I'm fighting with some toys. For those who weren't here for the spooky stream, this is going well. I came on wearing that. So, somebody pointed, it's less than 100 days to Halloween, and you know what that means? It's less than 100 days to the next spooky stream where stuff like that happens. So, can you imagine, right, having to do the trigger warning? Yeah, there may be a man dressed as a clown. Wilde dressed as a clown. It's too late. It's literally too late. Anyway, so the media are absolutely thrilled by this, and ran with it as often as they could. The police weren't happy because they had to spend considerable resources investigating sightings and making sure these clowns weren't intending to harm people. The clown scare embedded itself in the public consciousness so much, McDonald's reduced their use of long-time mascot Ronald McDonald. Now, if there's anybody in chat that doesn't know what McDonald's mascot is, bless you, you healthy people, but he's a clown. World Clown Association President Randy Christensen had to issue a statement. I think quite like McDonald's. Yeah, it turns out that loads of my streamer friends live in areas of Britain where you can have a McDonald's delivered to you. I do not. Right, thanks, Dutch. It's 7-1 in favour, essentially, of next time there's a possible cosplay tie-in doing it. You have no idea what you are about to unleash. So here's Randy's quote: we're full of people that love children, bring smiles, and want to help people and bring comic relief. The people dressing up are trying to scare people. No professional clown would ever take part in something like that. Although, to be fair to the idiots doing this, nobody actually thought they were professional clowns. Just idiots. Thelonious Monk can get a McDonald's delivered by drone? It's the future. The future is now. But not here, where I live. In Milton Keynes, you can get your shopping delivered by little robots. Not here. Clowns faced mass job cancellations. It was an exceptionally bad time to be a clown because you were going broke. Circuses came in for a difficult time. You think we have enough for local takeaways? Yeah, but I haven't had a McDonald's in like a decade. The Russian. Wow, just wow. Get off your butt if you want that. Well, yeah, but I can't drive, so I'm not gonna sit on a bus for an hour to get a McDonald's. You know, I don't want it that much. There's when you don't drive, there's certain things you can't really have. You'll drive you to the retail park if you're desperate. No, because Thelonious is telling me off. Tegan says, around here we only get drugs delivered by drone. Do you live in a prison, Tegan? Are you on a phone, an illegal phone in a prison? It's funny actually. We'll go. This is sort of crime related. Steve was telling me that Grandmaster Flash is actually on Switch. And shortly after he told me that, I was reading a tweet, and it was about a guy at a music festival, and the drug dealer was called Grandmaster Stash. And I thought, yeah, imagine watching a true crime stream in prison. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Ditch, in prison, it must be incredibly boring. I feel like, you know, even this must be entertaining. Talk about a captive audience. Anyway. The Russian embassy had to issue a warning to Russians in Britain to be aware that the British people keep dressing up as clowns and scaring people. Down needed to pause that. There's a VOD. This was such a global panic. The Fijian police issued a preemptive "do not do clown things in Fiji" warning. Target had to stop selling clown costumes. And I've got another great quote now. It's from Sir Tony Van Dukes. Well, he's called Mike, but his clown name is Sir Tony Van Dukes, and he's from Just for Clowns. He did get a bit upset, because he said, I wonder how the reporting on the story would go if instead of clowns, people were dressing as aliens, witches, zombies or doctors. What if they were wearing hospital scrubs, lab coats and a stethoscope around their neck? Would the news report say that doctors were hiding in the woods trying to lure kids? He also said, I'm not sure if you've ever been to the mall after Thanksgiving and watched the kids' reactions to being placed on Santa's laps. There will be some kids who cry and scream. Should we all scream? Should we all assume that Santa is scary? Well, I mean, to be fair, Mike, if Santa was in a dark car park with a machete, yes, we would be saying he was scary as well. However, it was not all one way. This was not just a load of people having their fun. Because clown hunting gangs became a thing. Dishboy says he once went to a Halloween gig in an evil jester costume. Fewer than 10% were in fancy dress. Felt a bit of a twat. It's always terrible, isn't it? When you go to a fancy dress party and basically nobody's bothered. Right. Going to a fancy dress party where everyone's bothered is one of life's rare joys. But that's very rare. So Pennsylvania State University had the Great Penn State Clown Riot. A rumour began that a clown had been spotted on campus. A mob of anywhere between 500 and several thousand students started roaming the campus looking for it. They were tweeting things like, "Some people run away from clowns. Penn State runs towards them." No clowns were found, and amazingly, despite the potential for chaos of 3,000 to 4,000 possibly drunken students looking to kill a clown, there was no damage or injury. The police blamed social media for the hysteria, but said they were certain there weren't any clowns, because if there were, the students would have found them. Now, do you remember DM Pranks from earlier? The guy that thinks it's a fun idea to run around after people dressed as a clown with weapons. Even he thinks that this has crossed the line. He told the BBC, "The situation is now totally out of control." People jumped on the bandwagon for no reason. And I worry that people are using that bandwagon to hide criminal acts. Be right back. Sorry about that. It was very hot. Gets you in the throat. So we'll just get to... Ditch has actually covered the next point, which is brilliant. He's also mentioned that Penn State runs towards people unless the clown has a gun or a chainsaw. And I think that's a good point. And it's perfect. Because if you're in a mob of several thousand people hunting a clown, and then you find a clown with a chainsaw, I imagine there's going to be some energetic discussions about who stays at the front. Dick said there's no better time to rob a bank dressed as a clown than during a clown panic with loads of people dressed as clowns. That's exactly what happened. Things then got political because some clowns attempted to organise a counter movement, and they decided to call it Clown Lives Matter. And you can imagine how that went down, and that's all we're going to say on that point. There was also something else that happened. There was a clown that became infamous because he did the decidedly, the only person he was threatening was himself. This is a clown riding the back of a bus. It is a shit photo, right? Because somebody took it. It was like taken on a mobile phone quickly 8 years ago, and has now been through the internet 8 million times. So this is the best I could do. But there's a clown riding a bus. Yeah, that's enough of it. Right. By the end of 2016, the US portion of the clown scare had led to arrests including felony terrorism offences and a death. A 16-year-old boy sadly was stabbed to death after people became terrified of him wearing a clown mask. Psychiatrist Stephen Zaltzman once attempted to explain why people fear clowns. He said clowns by definition are supposed to make you laugh, but in the background it's the fear that they won't, and all of us have in the back of our mind, the fear that you won't actually be able to do the very thing that you're designed to do. Although perhaps Stephen in these cases, because there's a bloody lunatic in the dark dressed as a clown. Things came to a head at Halloween 2016 with The Purge. More shops banned costume, and some people were planning their normal trick-or-treating armed. But rumours started spreading, rumours across the social media and the internet, that the clowns would mass attack or make a purge. Perth in Scotland found 2 different Facebook pages, both advertising the forthcoming Perth Clown Purge with the slogan, "We are coming." In Pennsylvania, someone made a viral social media post announcing a purge on October 30th and warned people to hide inside. The poster was caught, but not before the sheriff had to talk to Homeland Security and the FBI. Of course, nothing happened. There was no purge, there was no great clown craziness, and with Halloween gone, the clown craze settled down and stopped over winter. The exception was Florida, where a gang of people dressed as clowns really did attack a pair of men and their family. Jeff Brown told WFTV, "They're lucky that my wife told me to leave my gun at home, because if I would have brought my gun, I would have shot every one of them. Every one I could." Fair, because there's 20 men in clown suits. This was undoubtedly a case of mass hysteria turned international in the social media age. Many of the panic, now you heard me talk about clown sightings, many of the panics were based on pure rumour, without any people actually dressing as clowns. And when there were clowns, it was almost always people having a laugh for social media clowns. In the course of researching this, I did see a website which went to great lengths to explain that there are no evil clowns, as if there is some sort of satanic cult of evil clowns. Nobody ever thought that. Nobody thinks there's a mass organisation of evil clowns out there plotting world domination. Do they? I could probably find it in 30 seconds on modern Twitter, yeah. There were a lot of people, however, who thought dressing as a clown was a great cover for their normal criminal shenanigans. The other thing we have to consider, which has been pushed, is that a lot of these sightings weren't even real. There weren't even people going out there. Professor Jason D. Seacat explained there was a need for people to feel connected to a news event that had garnered national headlines. Since the event is difficult to verify, the claim that one had such an encounter is easier to make and relatively free from risk for being called out as a fraud. Basically, people began to say they'd seen clowns because they wanted to join in. So, what is there a cause? Did something cause this? Can we identify a cause for the Great Clown Panic? Well, Aaron Ballack wrote the psychodynamics of social networking. He explained the mechanisms. Psychologists understand contagion to include the spreading of an idea, feeling, or behaviour through a group. Historically, you'd see this in small clusters of people, villages, and groups, such as America's Salem witch trials. But social media enables a crowd mentality to be extended by never before. The closer a contagious event comes to something psychological or emotionally deep and universal, the more likely it is to trend. People's general unease over clowns and their transgressive makeup and actions was a perfect trigger. It's considered that a lot was happening in the world in 2016 that set people off. Leslie says faces, identities are covered with clowns. This can lead to a feeling of mistrust. Yes, you have no idea who or what is there, and you can't read their face if you hoped or thought you would do. Right. Well, that's the Great Clown Panic of 2016, which, as I've learned, I should have done dressed as a clown. Thank you. So we are at 10 to 1. We'll definitely do another story. Got another one lined up. We'll just take a little break, have a little chat. The next one's not fun, I'll be honest, but it is interesting. Unless this was a bit of a fun one. Unless you're scared of clowns, in which case you're probably not watching by now. It does look like we won't see Polly tonight. It's very warm. She's been lying down a lot. And when the party was here, she was spending quite a considerable amount of energy attempting to wrestle her way through the open window. Thank you for the Polly emotes. I've got a photo of her I'm going to turn into an emote, which I think has got an entirely different vibe. In fact, yesterday I had I know I do normally go shopping, but if I want very heavy items, because I don't drive, I tend to get them delivered once a month. So I took an Asda delivery yesterday, and I thought, right, Polly's really trying to go out the front. She's out in the big back garden, but out the front there's cars and stuff. And I don't really know, because she's a rescue, I don't really know how she is. So she doesn't go out the front. Well, she does, because she's trying desperately to get. So I thought, well, tell you what, she's in this room. I'll close the door to the room, let the Asda go in. Unfortunately, Polly thought this meant it was vet time, and she wasn't very happy. And when I opened the door, only a few minutes later, I had this very sad face looking at me that immediately turned into no vet. So we won't be doing that. We might not be doing that again, because she wasn't happy. Thought it was vet time. Thank you, Tegan. Yes, we hit 101 just earlier tonight. I believe Dano was my 100th follower. And Dr. Rock 1966 was my 101st. Ditchworth says, take you out the front on a walk on a lead. I need to type, Ditch, and I can't really do that without fingers. Everyone's saying congratulations, thank you. Oh, thank you for the 100 bits, Steve. 100 bits for 100 subs, that's brilliant. Okay, let's get into a case. Now, this case is very unusual. You might be thinking, how is a case where two people get murdered unusual? Sadly, people get murdered all the time. It's terrible. Well, this is unusual. The subject of this case managed to get to 44 years of age in a very successful career without committing any crimes. Something happened, and in the next 2 years he descended completely into being a serial killer. This is incredibly unusual. Serial killers almost never have absolutely nothing until middle age and then become serial killers. So this is a very rare and unusual case. So thank you very much for Sydney, who has resubscribed. They subscribed for 3 months, and we have hit a hype train. Thanks very much for the 100 bits, Steve. So tonight, the target of this story is Colonel Russell Williams. He had a proud military career in which, when he was flying VIPs, he flew people like Queen Elizabeth II. He then commanded a vast and important air base. But something happened to him because he became this very unusual serial killer. And now we're going to see how. And we're going to see the clever police work that caught him before he could kill any more than 2 people. So, David Russell Williams was born on March 7th, 1963. He and his parents lived in Worcester, UK, but the whole family moved to Canada when his father Cedric became an expert at a nuclear research facility. Here they met the Sovka family. When Williams was 6, his parents divorced and his mother married Mr. Sovka. The family moved to Toronto. Williams would attend school with the surname Sovka. However, then Sovka moved the family to South Korea to work at a nuclear facility there, and Williams remained behind and became a prefect at his boarding house. He was studious. He studied political science and economics at the University of Toronto, Scarborough. He was a keen practical joker. He graduated and he joined the Canadian military. He became a trained pilot, then an instructor. He became a captain in 1991. He flew in the Coastal Patrol. He flew in electronic warfare. Then he transported VIPs. In 1991, he married Mary Elizabeth Merriman, who became associate director of the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada. They never had any children. She would divorce him when his crimes were revealed. So the hype train's still going. I don't have a hype train story. Not really sure what. Yeah, I'll just get a load of 5-minute train crimes. Probably could actually. He became a major in '99. Began managing. He also studied. He got a master in defence studies. His dissertation argued for war in Iraq. By now, his mother and stepfather had split, and a rift had just torn the family apart, and Williams rarely spoke to them. He became a lieutenant colonel in 2004. For 2 years, he was commanding officer of 437 Squadron. He also served as commanding officer of Camp Mirage, a Middle Eastern base, supporting the Canadian military in Afghanistan. As you can see, this is quite a long list of achievements. He went on to work in the Directorate of Air Requirements on key products. He spent 6 months in the Canadian Forces Language School studying French, and he was finally promoted to colonel. He was appointed wing commander at CFB Trenton, where he was in charge of Canada's busiest airbase. I've rushed through that, but it's important because it gives you the sense that up until the moment he was arrested, he had exhibited nothing but an enormously successful career in an area, where you actually have to have a lot of ability and skill. Nobody had any idea. Oh, thank you, Ditch Boy, for the sub bomb. Thank you for gifting subs to Be Mysterious, Krugi, the legendary Lou Vella, Deftly, and Westsider. Guys, this is a chance to use the Lou Vella emote that Karen has, if you want to. Thanks for the sub bomb. We are on level 2 on the hype train. Thank you very much. So we're going to pause for a minute now. And we're going to move. We're going to move to Jessica Lloyd. She was 27 and she was living in Bellevue, Ontario. On January 28th, 2010, she texted a friend to say she had arrived safely home. That was the last contact anyone had with her. She went missing. She was reported very quickly. Police went to her home, and these were very capable police. They instantly found a clue. There were noticeably unique snow tyre tracks next to her home. So the police formed a plan. Exactly a week later, They would monitor all the vehicles using the nearby highway and see if they saw anybody that might be using a similar or the same pattern tyre. We now return to Conan Williams, who that morning decided to leave his usual vehicle, a BMW, behind, and he went out driving in a Nissan Pathfinder. The police noticed there was a similar pattern. Armed with this knowledge, the police called Williams in for questioning. Williams came in on February 7th, by which time the tyres had been found to match, by which time Williams' shoes matched a shoe print. Faced with this evidence, within hours, William broke down and asked what he could do to minimise the impact of what he was going to say on his wife. This is all on tape. I've seen this tape. He said, "Well, you confess." So he confessed. He confessed to killing Lloyd, but then he confessed to dozens of other crimes too. The police had discovered not just a murderer, not just a recently started serial killer, but a previously unknown sex criminal of great capacity. He gave them the location of Lloyd's body, which they found, and he calmly explained on video, which we're not going to... I've seen to do the research, but we're not going to show. He had broken into a house while she was sleeping, raped her, kidnapped her, taken to a cottage he owned, abused her for a day, forced her to dress in underwear which he photographed, struck her on the head with a torch, and then strangled her. Part of that's going to become very important later on. He also gave the location of a stash of evidence in his house, which included trophies, photos, and videos of his victims and his attacks. This included photos of him wearing women's underwear, which he had been breaking in and stealing. The stolen underwear was found neatly packed away and labelled over 500 pairs. So what had they found here? Well, following his confessions, Williams was charged not just with murdering Lloyd, he was charged with murdering Corporal Mary France Camus. She was serving at CFB Trenton, and he had worked with her. She had been found beaten, raped, and strangled to death in her home in 2009. No one had connected Williams to her, but he explained to police he'd been hiding in the basement, and when found, raped her, but he couldn't strangle her because she was fighting too much, so he wrapped duct tape round her head. But police... Oh, thank you, Ditch, for gifting a tier sub to Leslie and pushing us into, I believe, tier 3 of the hype train. Thank you very much. Do enjoy your sub, Leslie. They had found a man at the very beginning of a long serial killing career, but they had found something else. They had found him, the person behind 2 crime sprees no one had ever connected together, and no one had really been sure was actually even happening. So what am I talking about? He was charged with breaking and entering the homes of 2 women in 2009. He broke in, stripped them, tied them to chairs and photographed them. He had been in one of these women's houses several times before. Police had actually identified a subject in both these attacks, but they were Larry Jones, one of the women's neighbours. They'd searched his house, and he told the press they'd threatened to charge him. He was also the person behind what turned out was a vast series of break-ins, which had been done to steal women's underwear. He was charged with 82 break-ins in Ontario. He targeted women and girls as young as 9. Many of the victims had no idea he'd even been in their house until the police arrived to go, we've found your underwear and a record. Police were greatly aided in this because Williams had a habit of carefully documenting everything he did, from photographing and videoing everything to storing press reports of the crimes. An escalation could be observed, but over the 2 years that he had started, he went from breaking in, wearing the victim's underwear, sexual assault, rape, and then murder, all in 2 years. The photos he took of himself wearing their underwear in their houses are on the internet. Obviously, in researching this, I've seen them, and we're not going to show them on here because that's not the vibe. That's really not. If you are interested, It's not. It's not great. No, you're right. I very much thought. Now, but what you might be interested in is what this guy looks like, clothed. That is Colonel Russell Williams, serial killer and sex criminal. He was immediately removed from command, and then he tried to kill himself in prison. Police forces in all the areas where he had either been stationed or lived now had to re-examine all their unsolved cases. So why are we doing this? What's the thing here? Well, police had found themselves with a very unusual serial killer. Most serial killers don't progress in their crimes. Some do. We've discovered quite a few that do. But very, very few have a perfectly normal and successful crime-free life until they hit their 40s. And then, for some reason, break into sex murder. Vernon Quincy, Professor Emeritus of Psychology and Psychology, Biology and Psychiatry at Queen's University, told the Toronto Star, the only scenario I can think of is that this guy had these interests for a long time, but he was able to control them, and then something set him off, and he can't control them anymore. We don't know. I don't have that answer for you. One of the assault victims reported that Williams had said he was doing it so I could move on with my life. However, he gives some sort of in a taped police interview. It turns out that he has no idea either. Detective Sergeant Jim Smith can be heard saying, "Why do you think these things happen?" Williams says, "Don't know." Smith says, "Have you spent much time thinking about that?" Now there's a bit of a comment on his hat. Yeah. For all I know, that's how you're meant to wear that hat. Which obviously somebody in the military, probably many years ago, thought was a good look. Yeah. Speaking of that, remember that hat, because I can tell you what happened to that hat, and I will do in a minute. So Williams replied to, "Have you spent much time thinking about that?" "Yeah, but I don't know the answers, and I'm pretty sure the answers don't matter." Later, Smith was asked, "Do you think it would happen again?" And Williams said, "I was hoping not, but I can't answer the question." Williams pled guilty. He was given 2 concurrent sentences for life, imprisonment with no parole, possibility to parole for 25 years, and a number of other sentences for his other crimes. The judge said the depths of depravity shown by Russell Williams have no equal. He is Canada's bright shining light. Thank you very much for the hype train. Completed level 2. Lovely. Thanks everybody. Really, it is really appreciated that the followers and the subs are all appreciated. So he was stripped of all his military awards and titles, but they had to leave him with his pension. It turned out there was no legal way to remove his pension without passing an act of parliament. However, the military collected his medal and his uniforms. His uniforms were burnt, his medals were chopped into pieces. They really got medieval on any sign. They probably wouldn't like the fact I keep referring to him as Colonel Williams, but it is what it is. He was a colonel when he did it, and you can't erase that. So that is Colonel Williams, a very unusual serial killer that's never been explained. Perfectly successful, perfectly non-criminal, and something that we don't know sent him round the bend. But in this instance, I have to give credit to the police. I know on a lot of these serial killer cases there are instances where serial killers could have been caught early, but police and legal issues stopped them. In this instance, everything worked correctly, and he was stopped by some clever policing. So, got to say that. Let's be honest, the last time I did a serial killer in Canada, the police came for a bit of a kicking. But these people were on the ball. Right then. I hope you found that interesting. We've done an hour and 10 minutes. Given the vast heat at the moment, especially in this office. And I don't know how many people have ever sat under a key light. Putting off a bit. I may call it there. I think we've done 2 good cases. And I may retire before the heat gets too much. Although this is, I would like to point out, this stream has only been made possible by the fan that Ditch gave me. Because otherwise it would be a bit. Oh, well, I should. I mean, obviously, normally I'd open the window, but I can't because Fluffy would escape. And if I'm sure everybody has heard the story of Polly in that window. If you want me to tell it again, if you didn't hear the Polly window story, it's a very good one. Unless you're me, in which case it isn't. Right, so we'll be back next Thursday at 12. Hopefully we'll go a bit longer because the weather should be back to normal for Britain by then. What's coming? I don't know what it will be. I have promised to do music crimes. That's coming one day. There was a request for the White Widow. Now the White Widow, I started working on the White Widow for today, but really it's going to it needs more time than I was able to give it this week. The White Widow was a fascinating case because so much is unknown and press reports and speculations and everything. So that's going to need some time. Obviously, the more unknown things are, 12 or maybe 11 depending. Thanks very much for the 60 bits. Yeah, I mean, I've not heard anything about next week, dude. So I think next week's fine on 12 because I've not heard anything that would mean 11 at this point. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for being here. We are thinking, yes, we are considering the stream time. I have a new job. I will be working through the day, so we will definitely need to tweak when we do this to fit in with that. So I'll let you know. Well, this is chasing. Yeah, again, do chase. I'll let everyone know if it changes, but I've heard nothing that would suggest I'm doing anything next week. So, all right. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Foxy. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Sydney, for all the kind comments. That's been lovely. And now I will start the laborious process of finding us a fun raid. Once again, if anybody knows anybody live, do suggest. I'll just see who's on my list of possibilities. Or we might go to some kittens. D-Tune's ghost hunting. He's got a lot of people. I don't think he's really going to notice us creeping in. Let's have a look at what. Can we read Forrester Wires? Of course we can, Steve. Of course we can. If you could put in chat, Steve, what I need to say to introduce Forrester Wires, I will set the raid up. Tell me more. Tell me more, Steve. It says you should raid this chap called Goldlane. Says decent. I will raid myself and start a second stream. Oh, very D&D type stuff. Well, I'm into all of that, so let's go. Right then, everybody. Thanks very, very much. Have a great week. If you're cold, I hope you get hotter. If you're hot, I hope you get cooler. and let's go and see Forest of Wires and see what they're about. Take care, everyone.